We continue now at the top of Daf Tzadi Aleph Amid Beis in Meseches Pesachim. This is Pesachim Daf 91b. The Gemara says Pritzusa. Again, that was talking about Avodim and Ketanim. You shouldn't put them together in a group, just them in a Karban Pesach. It's going to cause Pritzus. It's going to cause inappropriate behavior. Rashi says the Mishkav Zachar. It's going to cause Pritzus of Mishkav Zachar. And the Gemara continues, Gufa, returning to that which we addressed before. Isha barishon shochten ola b'fnei atzma. It said by women you can shecht just for women when it comes to Pesach Rishon, uvesheni osen osa tfeilu la'acherim. But on Pesach Sheni, again, where we said it's just a reshus for women on Pesach Sheni, so then they should be accompanying other people who should be part of this Karban Pesach. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, that's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi says, Isha b'sheni shochten ola b'fnei atzma. When it comes to women, even in Pesach Sheni, you can shecht for women alone. Ve'ein sarach lomar b'rishon. You don't even need to say, for sure when it comes to Pesach Rishon, according to Rabbi Yossi, there's an obligation in both, and you can shecht just for a chabura of women. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, Isha barishon osen osa tfeilu la'acherim. When it comes to Pesach Rishon by women, they have to be secondary to others in the group, because according to Rabbi Shimon, it's not an obligation Pesach Rishon for women. And b'sheni, when it comes to Pesach Sheni, ein shochten oleh kol ikar. Women should not be part of the group at all. They should not even be tuffle to others. They shouldn't be in the group whatsoever. Gemara now explains what is this three-way machlokas tanam. It's all based on psukim. But ma'ikam miflagi, what are they arguing about? Rabbi Yehuda says b'michsas nefashos. Pasuk says b'michsas nefashos. It says souls va'afilu nashim, comes to include even women. Now, if you're going to say, okay, if it's true souls, that should be true on Pesach Sheni as well. Women should be obligated. So no, ksiv cheto yisa ha'ish hahu. There's another pasuk that says the word ish in, ish lo. That means to say a man yes, women not. So Pesach Sheni is not an obligation for women. And if you're going to say so maybe you'll say, okay, they shouldn't even be tafil in Pesach Sheni. They shouldn't be part of the group at all. So there's another pasuk which says that Pesach Sheni should be the same as Pesach Rishon. It should have kol chukas Pesach. It should have all the laws of Karban Pesach. That means that at least they should accompany, just like women are part of Pesach Rishon, they can accompany for Pesach Sheni. The Gemara continues, Rabbi Yossi, my time. And what about according to Rabbi Yossi? Again, according to Rabbi Yossi, women seem to be an obligation, Pesach Rishon and Sheni, Techsiv, because the pasuk says, Barishon b'michsas nefashos. Again, it says, Nefashos va'afilu isha. By Pesach Rishon, it says the word souls to include even women. Uchsiv Pesach Sheni, v'nichrasa ha'nefesh ahi mi-Yisrael. It also uses the word nefesh by the kares, where it's talking about Pesach Sheni. Nefesh va'afilu nashim. Again, the word nefesh includes even women. So what is the pasuk where it says ish? It says men. What does that come to exclude? Rabbi Yossi says that just comes to exclude a katan. A katan is not going to get kares. Rabbi Shimon, and what about Rabbi Shimon? Again, Rabbi Shimon's opinion was that on Pesach Rishon, a woman should only be tfeila la'acherim, and Sheni, she shouldn't even be that much. So ksiv barishon ish. So it says by Pesach Rishon it says ish. So we say ish in ish lo. Again, it says the word ish. So we darshan ish in ish lo. There's an obligation for a man, not an obligation for a woman. Now, if you're going to say if that's the case, she shouldn't even be a tefillah. She shouldn't even be in the group at all. So again, it says the word nefashos, souls l'tefillah. That says that she can be tefillah. She can be part of the group accompanying the men. So then you'll say, okay, in Sheni as well, she should at least be tefillah. So again, by Sheni it says the word ish in, ish lo, and that comes to exclude a woman completely from Pesach Sheni, according to Rabbi Shimon. The Gemara says, now if there's an exclusion, what are we excluding it from? If we're excluding the obligation, hashta barishon lo. Women are not even obligated Pesach Rishon. B'sheni miba, you need to exclude them from Pesach Sheni. Elalav mitzvela. Obviously, the exclusion over here is saying they're even excluded from accompanying on Pesach Sheni. And the Gemara says, Umayish to come Rabbi Shimon. Now, which word, which pasuk, where does it say the word ish? What is Rabbi Shimon talking about when he says that it says by Pesach Rishon the word ish, and we darshan ish in, ish lo? Maybe you'll say it's this pasuk of the word ish where it says that each man will take a sheep. So no, it's not true, because that pasuk is already used for Rabbi Yitzchak's drasha. The Yamar, because Rabbi Yitzchak says ish zocha ve'ein katan zocha. He says a man is allowed to be zocha. He's allowed to take it on behalf of others, and a minor is not allowed to. Rashi says ish zocha la'acherim b'likichaso. A person can be zoch on behalf of others when he takes the Korban Pesach. Im lokach mekach letzorach acherim. Let's say a person purchases for somebody else, or kibel matana l'shem acherim, or he has a gift that he gets for others. This is true by all kinyanim, not only Korban Pesach. K'nechsiv v'yichu ish sela ve'savos v'yein katan zoch edei nasa shliach. The idea is a man, an adult, can be a shliach and can be zoch on behalf of somebody else, and a katan who cannot be a shliach cannot be zoch. So this pasuk of ish sela ve'savos is already used for this drasha, this general drasha by zechiyah and by shlichus. So then you'll say, okay, there's another pasuk by Pesach Rishon where it says ish. It says ish lefiachlo, each man according to what he could eat. But that's not true either, because that's also already used. Hamid Rabbi Yossi savar like Rabbi Shimon. If Rabbi Yossi on the previous Amud holds like Rabbi Shimon nami savar like Rabbi Yossi, then Rabbi Shimon also holds like Rabbi Yossi. Now this was a reference to the discussion earlier. Rashi over here says, "V'hamid Rabbi Yossi savar like Rabbi Shimon de'in shochten Pesach bebamas yachid." On the previous Amud we said that Rabbi Yossi holds like Rabbi Shimon that you're not allowed to shecht a Korban Pesach on a private bama mi lo sucha lizboach, from that pasuk of lo sucha lizboach. Rabbi Shimon nami savar like Rabbi Yossi. So Rabbi Shimon also holds like Rabbi Yossi du yolef meish lefiachlo, that he already learns. What does Rabbi Yossi say? He learns from this exact pasuk of ish lefiachlo sheshochet Pesach ala yachid, that you're allowed to shecht the Pesach, the Korban Pesach, even on an individual. So, and then Rashi goes on to explain why it has to be that way. Otherwise, you'd be left. The lo svir like kavase. If Rabbi Shimon didn't hold like Rabbi Yossi, mimai d'hai bechad the drasha didei. So how do you know the word echad is used for his drasha? Hatvei mashma shaper krab yudah dein shochten ala yachid. You might as well use it for the other drasha, not to allow shechting on an individual. So, anyways, the point is Rabbi Shimon holds like Rabbi Yossi and already uses ish lefiachlo to say you're allowed to shecht the Korban Pesach even on one individual. So that's also already used. So which word ish is he going to use? V'ahumi boile the shochten as Pesach al yachid. Again, Rabbi Yossi already used the pasuk of ish lefiachlo to teach you that you're allowed to shecht the Korban Pesach even for one person. So Amar Loch. So the answer is Rav Shimon will say to you, Im kein nichtav Ramana lefiachlo. If that's all it was saying, it could have just said lefiachlo, and that's a language, that's a singular language. You don't even need the word ish, and that would teach us you can shech the Korban Pesach on an individual. My ish, why are you adding in the word ish? Shamat mi notarti. You actually learn out both. You learn out you're allowed to shech the Korban Pesach on one individual, and you also learn out, like we said, ish v'lo isha. Gemara now says, Kaman oz lahadam Rebbe Lazar. Rebbe Lazar makes the following statement. Who is he following? Rebbe Lazar says as follows: Isha barishon chova. When it comes to a woman, Pesach Rishon is an obligation. Uvesheni rishus. Pesach Sheni is just a rishus. It's just voluntary. V'doches haShabbos, and it's also doches Shabbos. Now that doesn't make sense. If it's a rishus, why would it be doches Shabbos? I rishus amai doches haShabbos. Why would a rishus? Why would something that's just voluntary be doches Shabbos? Ela ema, rather rephrase it slightly as follows: B'sheni rishus. Pesach Sheni is again a rishus for women. It's just voluntary. Uva Rishon Choven. Pesach Rishon is an obligation. V'doches haShabbos, and it's doches Shabbos. But in any case, who does this follow? Kiman ke Rabbi Yehuda. This opinion of Rebbe Lazar follows Rabbi Yehuda. Again, that's Rabbi Yehuda up here. Rabbi Yehuda says Isha barishon. When it comes to Pesach Rishon, you can shecht for her because it's an obligation. Uva Sheni, she's a tveilah because it's just a rishus. So for Pesach Sheni for women, it's just a rishus. That's basically the same thing that Rebbe Lazar over here is saying. And the Gemara continues, again, command Rabbi Yehuda, again, that follows Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yaakov says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Ein osin chabura shekula gerim. An interesting halacha, you can't make a group for Korban Pesach that is all gerim, that is all converts. Why? Shemi yadak tekubo. Because they might be overly careful. Because they're gerim, they might be overly careful in terms of the mitzvahs. V'yiviyu lidei psul. And in being extra cautious, they're actually going to accidentally make it puzzle. Rashi says yadak tekubo mishum she'enam b'nei Torah, because they're not b'nei Torah. Yachmiru olav. They're going to be overly strict. They're going to try to be extra careful, and it's actually going to be ladaktik. They're going to be too careful. V'yasilu al chinam. They might end up doing something wrong and passing this Korban Pesach. And the Gemara continues that the two dots, Ton Rabbanim, we learned in a Braisa, Pesach u'matzah u'morer barishon chova. When it comes to Korban Pesach and matzah and morer, on the first night, it is an obligation. Mikan v'elach rishus, and then from then on, the next 7 days of Pesach, it's only rishus. Laila harishon is an obligation, and then from then on, it's going to just be a rishus. Rabbi Shimon says, Ba'anoshim chova. It's an obligation for men, u'v'noshim rishus. And when it comes to women, it is just a rishus, it's just voluntary. So the Gemara now tries to make sense of this brisa. Ahayakoi, what exactly are we going on over here? Ilema Pesach, if we're going on Korban Pesach, Pesach kol shiva mika. What are you talking about? Korban Pesach is a reshus for the rest of Pesach, but it's only an obligation the first night. It's not even a reshus. There's no Korban Pesach after the first night. What do you mean kol shiva? There is no Korban Pesach all 7 days. V'ela matzo morer. So then you have to say, obviously, drop Korban Pesach, and the discussion is just by matzah and morer. Matzah and morer is an obligation the first night, and it's a reshus the rest. So aim a seifa, but 1 second, let's look at the end of the statement. Rabbi Shimon Omer, ba noshim chova v'noshim reshus. Rabbi Shimon says that by men it's an obligation, by women it's a reshus, and that apparently that's going on matzah and morer. Less likely, Rabbi Shimon hadam Rabbi Lazar. Does that mean that Rabbi Shimon does not hold of that which Rabbi Lazar said? What did Rabbi Lazar say? He said, "Nashim chayavos b'achilas matzah devar Torah." That women are actually chayiv on a doraisa level. They're chayiv in matzah. This apparently is saying Rabbi Shimon is talking about matzah and saying nashim is a reshus. It's not true. Shenemar, because the pasuk says lo sochal olav chametz. It says you can't eat chametz. Shivas yamim tochal olav matzah. 7 days eat matzah. On Pesach you don't eat chametz and you do eat matzah. And we darshan kol sheyeshno b'bal tochal chametz. Any individual who's not allowed to eat chametz, which includes women, yeshno b'kom echol matzah. They have an obligation to eat matzah, so it's not true. Women are obligated to eat matzah. V'hani nashim, when it comes to women, hol v'yeshno b'bal tochal chametz, since they are included in the prohibition in terms of not allowed to eat chametz, yeshno b'kom echol matzah, so they're also in the positive commandment to eat matzah. So how do we make any sense out of this brisa? So the Gemara says as follows. Ela'ema, rather, the way you read the brisa is as follows. Pesach matzah u'morer b'rishon chova. When it comes to Korban Pesach and matzah and morer, on the first night it's an obligation. Mikan va'elach reshus. From then on, going specifically on the matzah is just a reshus. Rabbi Shimon says, Pesach, he goes back to Korban Pesach and he says, Pesach ba'anoshim chova. Korban Pesach by men is an obligation, b'noshim reshus. And when it comes to women, again, like we said before, according to Rabbi Shimon, the Korban Pesach is just a reshus for women. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, onen, when it comes to an onen, again, this is somebody where the relative, the mace, has not yet been buried. Tovel v'yochel es pischol le'erev. He immerses himself in a mikveh, and then he's allowed to eat the Korban Pesach in the evening. Avalo b'kachim, but this halach is not true by other kachim, that's not Korban Pesach. Rashi over explains. Onen tovel v'yochel es pischol le'erev. And onen immerses and he eats his Korban Pesach in the evening. Even though you haven't yet buried the mace, the din of aninus is only during the day. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, hein hayom hikrivu v'anionen v'yachalti chatas hayom. Should I eat the korban chatas today when I'm in onen? Meaning yom asur laila mutter. The day it's prohibited, only yom, but in the night it would actually be mutter. This was when Aaron was talking, when Aaron HaKohen was in onen. Utvila boy. Now you do need to do an immersion. It's not enough. You can't just do it at night. You have to do an immersion first. This is one of the 11 stringencies in Chomer Bakodesh. Ha'onein v'amechusar kippurim tzrichen tvila lakodesh. That an onein and also somebody who's a mechusar kippurim who didn't yet bring the carbon, they do need to immerse in order to have hekdesh bitoch shenesr ad achshav, since they were usher until now bekachim and kachim. So atzrechinu rabbanan tvila. The rabbanan, it's a rabbanan requirement to do tvila. Now, when it comes to Mechusar Kippurim, he already immersed the day before, because the way it works is the person is purifying himself, he immerses the day before, waits for Harav Shemesh, waits for the sun to go down. The next day, the 8th day usually, he's bringing a carbon, so he already did an immersion. So it's nevertheless, the Rabbanan said you should do another one in that situation in order to eat kachim. Avalo yochel onen la'erev b'shar kachim. But the Mishnah continued, an onen cannot eat in the evening other kachim. This is just true by Korban Pesach, the Isser Aninus Laila Midrabanan, because there is an Isser of Aninus in the evening on a Drabanan level. Well, the Pesach lo hamidu divrein b'makom kares. When it comes to Korban Pesach, where if you don't do Korban Pesach, it's an Isser kares. So there, the Rabbanan weren't so strict. They said we're not going to apply our halacha of Aninus Laila. But when it comes to other kachim, they do apply it. And the Mishnah continues, Hashomeya al meso, let's say somebody hears that his relative died. Rashi says, Hashomeya al meso yom shmua, the day of just hearing the news, have a onen derabonan, that's a din of onen derabonan. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Tzadi Beis Amud Aleph.